Hello and welcome to Fit News. I'm so excited. I have a special guest joining me today, Pam Sherman. Pam has been a fitness professional for 25 years as an instructor, a coach, and a trainer. She's AFAA certified in group exercise and personal training. She is passionate about helping women make exercise a priority, especially strength training, and she helps them to eat their goals and longevity, helping women realize that taking care of themselves is not selfish, it's self-care, as well as putting their needs first on their calendar is so important to Pam. Her tagline, in fact, is "Your health is your wealth." Pam, welcome. I'm excited. Before we get started, though, I feel like I need to do a little backstory for our audience because how you and I came in contact. It was January, and I remember this. I was coming back from Florida, of course, right? And I was on a flight and I was listening to a podcast, and it was either James Patrick, Beyond the Image, or Deborah Atkinson, Flipping 50. I don't remember which one it was because I listened to one. And after I listened to the first one, I went, I got to find more with her. And as I'm listening, I'm going, oh my gosh, because the first thing I heard was where you were from. And here I currently live in the neighborhood and walk my dog every single day in the neighborhood that you grew up in. Then you talked about where you went to high school. And that is where I taught my very first year of teaching out of college. Then you talked about you were a runner, a marathoner, and hello, so am I, right? And then you talked about the races that you did and that you did the Columbus Marathon, which I had been a part of many times. Best race out there. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I need to know more on this lady. So then I listened to another podcast and then I went on to Instagram and I'm looking at all your stuff on there. And I thought, oh my goodness, this woman is fantastic. We have so much in common, including the message that we are trying to share. And that is so important. And I know that some people might say, well, isn't Pam then your competition? And I'm like, no, Pam is not my competition. Pam is my teammate in this. Our competition is the fads and the quick fixes. And so Pam and I are out there trying to spread the message that that's not how it works. So no, Pam's not my competition. She's my teammate. So Pam, I just am excited about finally getting to chat today, because I know you and I could probably chat for 6 hours, but we'll try not to.
And in fact, that's one thing I said to you, Jen, is how long do we have? Because it's going to be a couple-hour podcast. I don't want to bore your listeners, but we have so much in common. And I love what you said, because I remember many years ago, there was a trainer at my gym who she got tons of clients, and somebody said, well, to her, like, no, you feel bad, like you're taking clients away. And she's like, there's enough for everybody. And we're all trying to do the same thing.
Right.
So I love that you said that, because
Right.
there's millions of people out there.
Well, that's just it. And, I'm not for everybody, just like you're not for everybody. But the point is that if I'm not for them, I want them to go to a qualified individual like yourself. And so that's why I introduce people that are sharing the same message, because I would rather have somebody go to somebody qualified if they're not going to be with me, right?
Agreed. And every day, I mean, I, of course, like you, get on a lot to post. I don't get to scroll a lot, but every time I see a post, I'm like, I would say the same thing. I would say the same thing. I would say the same thing. It's all, everything you say is so on point with what I say and what I believe that it is. It's so nice, because I know there are some out there that are not very educated in nutrition and what they say. And I like cringe when I hear them, like, you're spreading the wrong message out there.
Right. I mean, I think it's, we share that exercise mindset and how we view exercise as a tool to improve, right, the quality of your life. And it's not about the aesthetics.
It's not. In fact, when I started running, it was more for my mental health than anything else. And when Jen and I were texting on Instagram, we found out that she lived in the neighborhood that I did, and we did the same hill repeats from back when I did them in the 80s. Nobody else was running on the hill. I'm certain I got hundreds of crazy looks like, why is that girl running up the hill? Because I was in high school and I loved doing that. But so I think we've been birds of a feather for a long time.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's such a small world story, even though you're on the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast.
It is. I moved to your area when I was 12 and I left when I was 23.
Yeah.
But we have so much commonality just for that little time. And the fact that you taught at my old high school, I mean, that's just crazy. But we should get on to fitness.
Yes.
What do you want?
Well, you know what? Why don't we start with your fitness journey?
Sure.
And where it all began, right?
Yes.
Because you mentioned you started with running. You mentioned that you started with running.
I did. My dad was an almost Olympic level runner. He ran a 48-second quarter in the 50s, which for those that don't know running, that is very fast. 48 seconds. The world record now, I think, is 41. And that's 60 years later. So he was a recreational runner before it was cool. I mean, you didn't see runners in the 70s or in the 80s. And one day I asked him, like, can I run with you? He took me to a track and I ran 2 miles without stopping and thought it was the greatest thing ever. And then I just ran for fun. Like, I was in 5th grade and I just ran for fun. And I couldn't run really until middle school track. And then high school track and cross country. And for everybody listening, I was not very good. I was middle of the pack. I was never in the top 7. And the reason I started running marathons was because my girlfriends from high school, when we were at Ohio State, we were not top 10 level athletes. So we thought, hey, we love running. Let's just run the Columbus Marathon every year. And not just, I gotta take that word just out.
No,
let's run the Columbus Marathon. So we would train together and we held that tradition for like 9 years.
Wow.
Which was amazing. And then I moved out to California, and luckily enough for me, my roommate was a group exercise instructor. So I would take her classes and we run together. And then one day she's like, Pam, you love to exercise. Why don't you take this class at this junior college that was local on how to be an instructor? I thought, sure. And Jen, it was the greatest thing ever because I knew I did not want to work full time when I had kids. And then I thought, well, I might as well get my teaching or my personal training certification. And I did that. And I was actually pregnant at the time. So I was a teacher and a trainer when my kids were little. And my running, I don't run marathons anymore. I don't run half marathons. I run for fun. I run hill repeats. I run sprints. I do walk runs. And I still love to run, but I don't need or want the long distance running anymore.
Right. Well, same. And let's dive into that, because I think you and I both came to that realization and what is better for us as we age. I don't want runners, knocking down my door now. Neither of us are knocking running.
No.
But what we're saying is that we have found
strength training is the key.
Right.
As we age. And for me, I'm going to say, fortunately, it's going to sound crazy. It took getting hit by a car for me to stop doing longer races. And I did a lot of longer running when I was younger because I grew up in a super emotionally abusive household. And it was the way I knew how to deal with stress. So it saved my mental health. And then after I got hit, I could run like a mile at a time. So I was very thankful just to run a mile. And I got more into strength. And as I've gotten older, I know and for those listening, it's changed my body more than running ever did. And I've been a runner for 44 years. Running never changed my body. Strength is really what's changed my body.
Mic drop. Yes. That, and I think that's the thing that people don't understand, or maybe they, not aware. But, strength takes time. It's not as quick as running. The results that you get with strength training are not like running, right? I can train for 12 to 18 weeks, right? And be ready for a race. But I think you and I both know 12 to 18 weeks of strength training, it's a lot, and you'll get results, but you'll have the most results down the road, if you stick with it and are consistent years later.
That's the word, is consistency.
Yeah.
And it's unfair when people ask, well, how long did it take you to get where you are? And I'm like, I've been working out my whole life.
Right. Right.
And you can't compare yourself to anybody else except for yourself.
Right. Right.
And when you're
Yeah.
consistent, you will see results. But it's hard because our society is the Insta society,
Right.
right?
Amazon, right? Amazon Prime. And so, I mean, heck, I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, I ordered something this morning at 11 and they said they would deliver between 2 and 6 and it was here at 3:30. So yeah, we are that, give it to me now.
Our health just never works like that.
Right. 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 Yeah. I guess let's keep going down that path of because I think especially for women, the midlife woman, right? Those
Yep.
80s ladies, we tend to veer towards the cardio, right? We tend to, cardio is king. We look at that at the machine, at the calories burned.
Oh.
We look at the little thing on our wrist that we're wearing that says I burn this many I mean, nothing makes my head explode more than somebody saying I burned this many calories in a workout. I mean, it just, because it makes my head explode. And, I mean, you and I both know that strength training does not burn in the moment calories or, very many calories as you are doing it. But what are your thoughts on the cardio and ladies and that mind shift that we need to make with the calories burned? How do we get them off of that?
It's hard to break years and
Yeah.
years of conditioning. And when you and I first started working out back in the 80s, all there was high impact aerobics and the Stairmaster, which I used to wait in line at the gym to get on the Stairmaster, and you're hunched over like this in a bed form. And
Right.
I think knowing that it's okay to look at things with a new perspective and say, how's that working out for you?
Right.
How's that elliptical working out for you? Are you seeing the changes you want? Is your
Yeah.
body changing? Are you losing weight? Whatever your goals are, you can ask yourself, how is that working out for you? And I just had a conversation today with a friend saying, it makes me crazy that for the last, my gym in particular, I've been at for 22 years,
Oh,
the
me
people
too.
that do steady state cardio, and they've been doing it for 20 years and they don't change, and they wonder what's wrong. What's wrong is that you're not adding any strength training into your life. You're not adding any HIIT into your cardio. Doing the same thing. It's the definition of insanity, doing
Right.
the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Right. Right.
My husband says that I burn this many calories on a workout, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fact that number one, anybody would think that the machine would know how many calories, but then that the thing on your wrist is accurate. I'm just like, no.
well, no. And can we say that your body every day burns way more calories than any one particular workout, unless you're a CrossFitter, but we're not talking to CrossFitters, we're
Yeah.
talking to the
Right.
average, you and I woman.
Right.
Your body at rest will burn far more calories than any workout that you get at the gym or that you do at home. And that's
Right.
great.
Right.
So
Right.
please, let's stop looking at that number.
I
Don't
know.
enter it in MyFitnessPal. Don't count on that as calories you can eat back. In fact, the
Right.
only number that I would love client women to look at is their protein, how much protein they're
Yep.
getting in a day. And
Yep.
I think now we've had really bad weather here, but I would love everybody to get steps every day. And there's no perfect amount, but just get steps every day.
Right. Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, that's just it, the whole weather thing, especially, if you are in a northern climate, what do? I tell my ladies, go to the mall. Just don't stop to shop.
Yeah.
Just keep moving, and it sounds crazy, but that is something that you can do. It is an alternative. If you don't want to go out in the ice or the rain or whatever it is. Now, obviously you can't take your pet there, but and
But
walk your dog. But for you alone, if we're planning to go for a walk anyway, and it's raining, don't just say,
well, and I would much rather walk somewhere, walk on the treadmill. I've made myself walk a mile the last 2 days at the gym, and it's
yeah,
the longest part of my day because it's so, even though I'm listening to a great podcast, it's so boring. I'd much rather
yeah.
walk at a mall and you're actually going somewhere
Right.
than just on the treadmill. So yes, I think, in fact, I had a friend whose elderly parents were visiting, and she could not get over the fact they walked 2 miles in the mall. Like, yeah, you can do that
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, there's the mall that opened here 21 years ago. And I only know that because it opened when my daughter was born. And I went into labor because my sisters and I had gone to the grand opening. We walked around the mall, and later that night, a week early, somebody went into labor. So yes, walking the mall is good.
There is always an option. People say, I can't. There's
Right.
always ways to get around your
Mhm.
excuse.
Right, right. And along that line is, a lot of women will say, well, I just don't have time to exercise, which is again that all or nothing mindset, and that we know can be an obstacle.
And that's the reason actually I created a 10-minute playlist on my YouTube channel,
Mhm.
which is called The Perfect Balance. Is I've heard that for 25 years.
Right,
And I just had actually a member of my group, my Facebook group, say, you're the only one that can kick my butt in 10 minutes. I'm like, because I don't stop moving for 10 minutes. And when women question, is it enough? If you did it every day, 7 days a week, that's over an hour of exercise a week.
right,
That's over 4 hours in a month. It absolutely adds up.
right.
So I have teachers that like, I can't get to the gym because I have to get up early. I'm like, can you do a 10-minute workout and then maybe take a walk after dinner and then work out longer on the weekends? Yes, that's
Right.
great.
Right. It's all about finding the time within that fits your schedule. And then again, going with not that all or nothing mindset. I mean, I'm sure there are days that no, a 30-minute workout isn't going to work, right? But do you have 10 minutes? Take that time inventory, right? If you're scrolling on your phone for 10 minutes, you surely have 10 minutes to get some movement in.
Well, I always say we all make time for the things that we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I highly recommend women put their workout on their calendar every day.
Yes.
If you get it done first thing, it's done for the day. Don't
Mhm.
wait till the end of the day. Nobody wants to work out at the end of the day. We've all done 500 things between the time we've gotten up and making dinner. So
Right. Right. Right.
schedule
And
it
then and
early.
then it becomes something, just that one more thing, right? And it's usually that it's the one more thing that then gets pushed off the list for I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes.
It never comes. And the whole
Yeah.
selfish thing, for all the women out there, I
Mhm.
just want to say it's like when you're on the plane and they say, put the oxygen mask on you first. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. Nobody else can do it for you for the rest of your life. You have to do it for yourself. So the sooner you make yourself a priority, the better, because the better you'll feel. And when you feel better, I mean, I'm a better mom, I'm a better wife, I'm a better friend, I'm more productive with my work. I mean, it makes my whole life better.
Right. Right. I love how you said that. I mean, it really, should hit home with a lot of women. Um, let's talk about, I know that you have some great clients. I mean, we don't have to name names, but I know that you have some older clients that are doing tremendous things. So why don't we talk about them and
Yes.
how they're doing, what they're doing, and how it has impacted just their daily life.
So Frank would be happy to be named.
Okay.
Frank is my social media star. And I
Frank
tell
is
him that.
awesome, ladies. At the end of this, I will tell you how to find Pam. You need to find Pam on Instagram. You will all be blown away by Frank. And I think we all need t-shirts that say, I want to be like Frank.
My website gal is working on making those right now because
Oh,
I've
well,
had more
see,
people request that.
there
So
you go.
Frank is 84. And his wife used to take my class back when I used to teach group exercise. And one day I saw them at Costco and she said, hey, Frank's trainer move was you want to train him? So maybe more than 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, he was 74. I was like, sure. He is lovely. I mean,
Yeah.
I hug him. He's wonderful. The thing about Frank is he's been active his whole life.
Yeah.
He was a mailman in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
And then he was in the grocery business. So he was always on his feet and moving. So he's 84 now. He still puts up his Christmas lights. He still does his yard work. He walks a mile every Sunday to meet his wife to get coffee. She does a 3-mile walk. He walks the 1-mile walk because he's not as fast as her. And I train him once a week and his wife, Kathy, once a week. She is 72. And for him, in particular, he had a stroke this year, in the last year, in his eye.
Oh,
And he wasn't even sure he had it. His wife was visiting her sister. She came back and he picked her up and he's like, hey, I can't actually see really well. I have a little bit of pain above mine. She's like, okay, let's go to the ER.
yeah.
And his doctor could not believe the things that he could do, that he could sit up by himself, that he can get up off the bed by himself, that he could touch his toes. And he said his physical shape is the reason he was able to get over that stroke so quickly.
I mean, and that's amazing. I mean, it's all about daily living, right?
What you do daily really does matter. And I don't want anyone to think, okay, I'm going to start after vacation. I'm going to start next weekend. I'm going to start after Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, if we're lucky enough to get older, we have to
Right.
start thinking about that today, because it
Mhm.
really does make a difference. One thing I make Frank do every time we're together is get down on the floor and
Mhm.
stand up,
Yes.
because I have a friend who's a fireman and he said 60, that's a 60% of his calls are for people that fall in their homes and cannot get up off the floor. I don't think that's specific to the area where I live. I
No,
think that's
probably
probably.
not. Right.
And so we practice that with Frank. I
Mm-hmm.
make him practice with balance, doing what, like touch a hand to a weight bench and come stand
Mm-hmm.
back up. Basic things. So and he wants to get stronger. He's like,
Right.
yeah, and he'll do this, like, I'm getting my muscle pain. I feel really strong.
Oh, I love it. But that's just it. That's what taking care of yourself can do for you. I
Yes.
mean, had he not prepared his body, who knows what his state would be from the stroke, right? Whereas now
Yeah.
he's doing the things that he enjoys, right?
He's fine. He just had his 6th great granddaughter be
Oh,
born.
wow.
And
That's
he
great.
is type 2 diabetic, but his wife is a very good cook. So they have a very
Mhm.
healthy, for the most part, diet. Although I did lose my mind on them when they said they had a whole box of See's candy in one day. That's once a year for them. But I'm like, could you just go to See's candy and get like 2 pieces each? Does it have to be a whole
Oh,
box?
box?
But
Oh,
aside from that,
well.
it really is their daily habits. And the
Yeah.
fact that he still does take care of the outside of his house, right? Yes, he likes to sit and watch football. He loves the 49ers.
Mhm.
Um, but he said to me, I am about 10 to 15 years younger physically than all my friends my age.
Right. I mean, I believe it because if you go, you go to the grocery store, you go to church and you look around and take inventory, ladies that are listening, take inventory, look at how women that are older are walking. Are they walking extra slow because they have no mobility, they have no movement, they have no balance? Can they get up and out of their car? I mean, all those things.
And if you think you're too old, anybody should go to visit the Train with Joan Instagram.
Yes.
She's 78. Like, I think she just turned
Mhm.
78.
I believe so. Yes. It is a
It,
great account to follow. Yeah.
age is just a number.
Because she didn't start till later in life.
I want to say in her
I
early 60s.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't mean that you ladies listening and wait till then. We should put a disclaimer on that.
Well, and she was lucky because her daughter is a trainer
Right.
who had
Right.
wanted to help her for a long time, and she decided she was ready. But I would say the best thing anybody can do is, if they haven't started strength training, is start.
Right. Right. And, I think that's just it. I think, we talked a little bit about the cardio and, women being obsessed with the calories burned and whatnot, and I think the first step is number one, let's leave that thinking in the 80s because that's where it belongs. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
And number two, if you are intimidated by strength training, you don't have to join the gym right now. You don't have to find, 4-hour routines. Start with the simple things, right? Start with your squats using your kitchen counter. Start with push-ups using your kitchen counter. I mean, just start with those two things. And, you're using muscles that, God forbid, again, should you fall, you're strengthening those muscles that you would need to get up off the floor.
And along with the thoughts of the cardio from the 80s, can we also leave behind the I need an hour to work out mentality? Because
Right.
that has no business in today's
Oh,
life at
yes.
all.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Correct. But yet you see most of these places, most of these boutique places, we've got 60-minute classes. Not only do they advertise, we got 60-minute classes. This is how many calories you'll burn in them. And anyway.
The worst is the holiday classes when they go for an hour and a half or 2 hours. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay, our bodies are like a chemistry experiment. They're not a bank account. So if you
Right,
burn 1,000, that doesn't mean you go home and you eat 1,000 calories. There's
right,
digestion, and it's not a checkbook. It
right.
makes me crazy.
Yeah, yeah. This is why we get along, Pam.
How long do
Um,
you work out for on the regular?
it's about 40 minutes for my strength training. But again, if you don't have 40 minutes, that's 3 days a week, full body. Um, you don't have to, I enjoy that, right? So that's why
Yeah.
I spend 40 minutes. You don't need that much, right? We know that 2 days a week for a middle-aged woman,
Yep.
30 minutes is more than enough, right? But because it's an activity that I enjoy, that brings me joy, that's why I spend a little extra time, right? So,
Thank you.
yeah,
So you don't need an hour.
right,
And if you wanted to, that could be 4 times a week, broken
right,
up into 20 or 25-minute segments.
right, right. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do it. And I think, as you mentioned, that whole hour, because then I think that that is another obstacle that a woman will throw in there. Well, I don't have an hour. I don't know who's got that kind of, right. So again, with that all or nothing mindset.
And for women that don't do anything, if you would put your microwave timer on for 2 minutes and do push-ups against your kitchen counter and
Mhm.
squat on the kitchen chair back and forth for 2 minutes, you'd be surprised at how that really, you actually feel that.
Right, right.
I mean,
And,
it's easy.
it is. And, you're sitting there waiting for your Keurig to get hot. Do it then, I mean, just start small, but just start.
Every time you boil water, if you make a lot of tea, that
Mhm.
that could be like 30 or 40 push-ups. Like that could
Right,
actually be a lot because it takes a little while for the water to
right,
boil.
right. Exactly. There's always a way that you can, figure it out to to get that in there. I want to bring up because I really, really liked this recent post by you.
Okay.
Um, first, well, it was about it was an alcohol post, and I just thought it was fantastic. Um, I because I had seen a tweet, and I don't want to misquote anybody, so I had seen a tweet by Zuby Music. I don't know if you follow him or not. He's fantastic, so definitely check him out. But
Okay.
his tweet said, I think it's weird that people think it's weird I don't drink alcohol. Poisoning yourself intentionally is a weird flex, in my humble opinion, but I support your right to do so. And I think that that really makes a lot of sense. And then you had a great post regarding alcohol and midlife women. So maybe we can talk about that. And you can
Absolutely.
share a little bit more about what you posted and
It was actually a question on TikTok that said, what is an
yes,
unpopular opinion you have?
yes.
And I work with a lot of women my age. I'm 55. And
Mhm.
a lot of women my age have the belly in the middle, they'll call menopause middle. And it's not menopause middle, it's from wine.
Yep.
We cannot tolerate alcohol or refined carbs for that matter, as well as we did when we were younger. And it tends to settle in your middle. And that's unpopular because a lot of women like to drink. And I'm sure a lot of women saw that and went, they got that look on their face, like,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But it's the truth.
Mhm.
Alcohol does not serve you. And for me personally, I was never a big drinker.
Right.
Luckily for me, the men in my family were alcoholics, and my addiction was running when I was
Yeah.
younger and not alcohol.
Right.
But I in my, as a young adult, a couple beers, 2 weekends a month, not even every weekend.
Right.
But for me, I was always a clean eater, and
Mhm.
it would go to my head and it would make me binge 90% of the time.
Right.
And it was an unsettling feeling being a fitness professional and not being able to, not that I want to control every part of my life, but just feeling so out of control.
Right.
And then waking up on the next day going, oh God, when am I going to get this together? And then I got hit by that car 6 years
Right.
ago, and it took 2 years to get everything back into place. And I didn't drink during that time because I had a lot of gross surgeries. And I just thought, oh my God, I like myself so much better without alcohol in my life.
Right.
And then last year, my brother died from alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
And so it did not serve me. And the more
Right.
I got away from it, the more I'm like, it doesn't serve anybody.
Right.
If you are living your day to have that glass of wine at 5,
Right.
that's not a good life. I think you need to reevaluate your life.
Right.
If you're trying to lose weight and you're at my stage of life in menopause, it'd be better to drink less or give it up, dry January, dry February, whatever you want to do. I had a client give up alcohol 3 years ago in February. She lost 8 pounds, did not change anything else.
Wow. Wait, let's say that just one more time for the ladies.
She gave up alcohol. She had a nightly 2 glasses of wine. She gave it up for a whole month. She lost 8 pounds without changing her food.
Amazing.
That is 1.5 bags of sugar. When you go to the grocery store, you get a 5-pound bag of sugar. That is 1.5 bags of sugar, ladies.
Right.
Most struggle with giving it up. And since then, since I stopped drinking, there has been women that are, when I go out, don't you want anything? No. Are you sure? Wait, you still don't drink? I don't understand the pressure, the societal pressure to drink. I don't want to drink.
Right. Right. And I think that, and that's the whole thing about his tweet, poisoning yourself intentionally is a weird flex, in my opinion, and then if you say that you don't want to do that, you're looked at as the strange one, right?
I am. I went to a wedding a couple years ago, and it was a big drinking wedding, meaning the day of the wedding, it was a nighttime wedding, mimosas and Bloody Marys at 10 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Through the whole day. So I probably had 15 different women ask me, why aren't you drinking?
Yeah.
Why is it weird if I'm not drinking?
Right.
I don't want to judge. If people want to drink, that's fine.
Exactly.
I don't want you to judge me or make me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Because I'm doing what's best for me. I've seen alcohol destroy my family's life, destroy it.
Right. But I don't think it's just your family. I think if you look around, if you list the good things on a piece of paper with alcohol, and then you list the bad things, I mean, come on.
When people say they want to unwind, I'm like, download Insight Timer. Let's do a little meditation to unwind.
Right.
I mean, alcohol, if you are that attached to it, I would say, I think it's time to reevaluate. If you're trying to change your life and get healthier and lose weight, I would definitely take a break from it. Right. And that is not going to be a popular thing to hear. And that's okay.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. We're not here to be your best friend. We're here to help you make better choices and live a long and healthy life.
Yes. What's your stand on alcohol?
Again, once in a while out to dinner. But it's not really something that, I crave or that I need to have, or, and I know that if I don't have it, I feel a lot better because, I've always had a 1 drink max. If we do go out to dinner, it's 1 glass of wine and that's it. Yeah. But I also know that I don't need it. And I feel better when I don't, even if it's even that 1 glass, there's a big difference. So it's like maybe very sporadically, but I think, it's going to be phased out because I really just don't think it needs to be there.
And the more, I know you probably listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
The more podcasts I listen to for people in our world that are way more,
right.
than I am. A lot of them don't. And they're like, it doesn't serve a purpose in my life.
Right. 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 I mean, it goes back to what good are you bringing into my life? And I don't see any. It disrupts sleep. It wrecks, your digestion. And we know how important the sleep is
at this stage in our life. I had a client who she was holding on to extra, like everybody holds on to a little bit extra weight, and a weekend drinker. And she was going to a concert with friends. And I said, okay, I want you to think about, make a rule for yourself. Are you going to have 1? Are you going to have 2? Literally stick to it, and then walk around whatever the venue is, see what you want to eat, because there's a lot of crap, but there are some good things now.
Right.
I talked to her after. She goes, I have never felt better. I stayed with one. I picked out a great healthy dinner. I didn't wake up with a hangover. I felt full of energy. I had a great workout the next morning. And like all this healthy living really does pay off.
Right. It does. It does. And I just wish that it would become more the norm and not looked at. It's almost like, well, if you're doing that, you're so extreme with your health. No.
I want to wake up feeling great every day. Is
Right.
that extreme? I don't think
Right.
it's extreme.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's gonna be a lot of cringing listening to that.
You know what? I
last
know.
segment.
I know. I guess we're controversial, Pam.
Controversial at 55. Okay.
Yep.
Well, and
Yeah.
you know what? It took a long time for me to actually talk about it because
Right.
I was afraid of the repercussions and afraid of what people thought. And I'm like, you know what? I have to be myself and I have to put it out there because in my opinion, it does not serve anybody.
Right.
And I'm
No,
not saying
agreed.
like you, like once in a while, that's fine. But on a
Right.
regular
Right.
basis,
Right.
I
Right.
don't think
But
that's a
I
great
mean,
idea.
but like I said, even once in a while, it's like, well, what's the purpose? And so that's why I just feel like, we're done. Moving on.
I know. And asked my husband if he cared. And he's like, you didn't drink anyway, really.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, well, you have a DD for life. And he's like,
Yeah.
and at the end of the night, I always feel great. So it's a
Right.
good choice.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And it is, like you said, it is a very personal choice. And there is no judgment either way.
Yeah.
But I think that's the whole important thing. Either way, there is no judgment. Whereas I think right now there is a stigma and a judgment should you choose not to.
Well, and there's a lot of peer pressure both with food and with alcohol.
Yes. Yes.
And it's hard to say no unless you
Mhm.
are super convinced of what your ideas are. I had a client who went out with her best friend and her mom. She had just dropped 10 pounds
Wow.
and they asked her if she wanted dessert 3 times.
Mhm.
And she said, I had to say no 5 times to my mom and best friend, but not everybody can say no that many times.
Yeah.
And I don't know why there is so much peer pressure on both in our society, but I want to say
Mhm.
to everybody listening, can you please support your loved ones on their journey?
Yes. Yes. That support is key. It's key. Yeah.
And instead of maybe going out to lunch, maybe go for a walk, have coffee and go for a walk. Like
Mhm.
find other things to do. I know it's hard because our society is so food based, but maybe find other
Right.
things, go get a pedicure, go for a
Mhm.
walk, go see a movie, I don't know.
Right. I know. Yep. All great ideas. I mean, I'm
Especially the
always up
pedicure.
for my manicure, so.
Yes. Go spend a spa day, go do something
Right.
else besides
Anything. Yeah.
yeah, think of other things to do. And if your loved one or friend is on a weight loss journey, try to pick the best place that you can to eat.
Right. Right. And you know what? Maybe that's something that you can join them in instead of just making them on their journey by themselves. Maybe you can, you know, be a
Well,
part of
and
it
yeah, and I
too.
think many look at it as they are losing things,
Mhm.
losing favorite things. I'm saying, what are you gaining? Are you gaining
Right.
more energy? Are you gaining better sleep? Are you fitting back into your clothes?
Mhm.
Is your self-confidence being raised? Like there's so many benefits to being on a health journey as opposed to I can't have, but look
Right.
at everything that you get.
Right. Right. And on that same thing, what can you eat? Right? I mean, there's so much that you can eat. So rather than saying I can't eat this, that, and the other, but you can eat all of this. And you know what? Occasionally you can have the cookie too, just
Yeah.
not the whole box of cookies in one
Yeah.
sitting.
I've said that I've said many times to clients on, but look at everything you can eat.
Right.
Please, you can't feel deprived. You can have all of this stuff. This is
Mhm.
a once in a while food, but this is all the time food.
Right. Right. And and that is again is a mindset shift, right? A mindset from deprivation to what you can have.
Yeah, and that's another 80s ideal that we can leave in the
Oh
past
God,
because
please.
the 1,200 calories, 1,000 calories. Now I'm like, I
Yes.
tell my clients, I want you to eat more protein. I want you to eat more
Mhm.
vegetables. I want you to be full and lose weight. And they're
Mhm.
like, what are you talking about? Like, there's no more deprivation,
Right. Right.
really. eat a huge salad, eat lots of protein. This
Mhm.
3 ounces is not going to keep you full for more than an hour and a half. I would have 4 to 6 ounces, and that'll keep you
Right,
full for hours.
right, right. And, like you said, have the salad, but, again, back in the 80s, it was like, have this salad for lunch. And all it was a salad.
Yeah,
No, we're not just having salad. We're having salad with some protein.
with a lot of protein,
Yeah,
more protein than women want to eat, but that really
right.
is the game changer
Oh
in
my
this
gosh.
staying satisfied.
It's huge. It makes such a big difference. And that is another thing that kind of took, and I don't know if that was the runner in me, but between the strength training, and not doing the strength training and not getting enough protein, once changed everything from running all the time and eating all the carbs. Not that I don't eat carbs. I eat carbs with every meal. I love carbs. They're good, right? I don't demonize them. But I just make sure that I prioritize my protein. And what a game changer.
Every woman who has actually listened and paid, and my clients, I'm like, have this much protein every meal. They're like, I'm so full, I don't need this snack.
Right. Right.
Like your post this week about how 100% of your clients were full
Uh-huh.
because they ate more protein.
Right.
It's true.
Right. It is. It
It's like the
is.
magic key.
Yep. Yep. And more of them they're coming around, Pam. We just got to keep sending that message out, right?
Yes, it's never about the deprivation. It's
Right.
about eating more. You can
Hmm.
eat more and lose weight. It's eating the right
Yes.
things.
Right. Right. Not more cookies, more protein, more fiber, more fruits, more vegetables.
And can we please, sorry about absolute charges, tell women that you will never get fat eating fruit, please.
Oh my gosh.
I remember dropping my daughter off, or no, picking her up at kindergarten. She's 22, so that was
Just a couple
17,
years ago.
a couple years ago, 17 years ago, and I had just got done teaching. So I'm walking to pick her up, eating this huge apple, and a friend of mine was like, "Oh, that looks so good," and I'm like, "You can have an apple too?" And she's like, "No, I'm on the South Beach. I can't."
Oh,
Can I just
okay.
say, any food grown from the ground is going to be good for you.
Yep.
Now, I would say if you're trying to lose weight, you have to count your nuts. But
Right.
besides that, if you ate 3 apples a day, you would never get fat. You
Right.
just won't.
Right.
Plus, you probably can't like it. That's a lot of apples.
That is a lot of, but you'll be nice and full.
You'll be nice and full.
Short on protein, but you'll be full.
You hungry before dinner? Have an apple. That'll
Have an
tide you over till
apple.
dinner.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Oh my
But it made
gosh.
me so sad because I'm like, this bad. When keto was popular, the people being afraid to eat fruit, and I'm like,
Yeah.
fruit's not the enemy. It's
Right.
the row
It's the
of Girl Scout
garbage.
cookies. It's the
Right.
garbage. It's the cake in a cup that you get from the coffee shop. That's what I call it, because it
Yep.
has enough sugar and calories as a piece of cake.
Oh, the liquid calories are just killer. And I just, number one, they don't fill you up.
No.
So again, I kind of put those over with the alcohol, right? I mean, they can all just go together because they serve no purpose.
And you know what? You can make that at home with
Right.
no sugar and
Hmm.
if you use a plant-based
Hmm.
protein powder like Orgain or
Yes.
KOS with
Yes.
hot coffee in your blender.
Uh-huh.
There's a mocha. You can get
Yes.
a scoop of pumpkin with vanilla protein powder, have your pumpkin
Hmm.
latte. I mean, there's
Right.
a bunch of ways you can make it at home, but for like 450 calories, like 50 grams of sugar,
Right.
do you really want to drink that? Uh, You're hungry in like 20 or 30 minutes because your
Right.
blood sugar crashes.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I
So
say pass, make it at home.
yeah, exactly. Well, Pam, I appreciate all of your time today. It was such a pleasure chatting.
Thank you. I know we could talk for so much longer, but
Yes.
I've been looking forward to this for like a month. I think we set up a
I
month ago.
know.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
I know. I thank you. It's been great. I will see you all next week for some more fit news.